Also, you want a voice actor to go in her head and say, there's Saturn out there. You want that scene inside this anime.
Yeah, what a waste of 4 seconds that TV shows do not have.
I'm saying, dude.
A character that we don't give any fucks about. You just want to enter her mind just so you can hear the Saturn bit.
Oh, man.
It's called world building, Sal. Look it up.
What?
Hello and welcome to another episode of My First Anime. I'm Chris Bailey.
I am the club president of the Husbando Club, Salvador, also known as Monkey.
And I am fourth seat in the chess club, Anthony Vaught.
I apologize in advance if my thoughts are slow on getting this. I made the mistake of blasting through like 2/3 of a book immediately after reading or watching these episodes, so I got both of them swimming around in there at the same time. So I'm trying to parse them.
Okay, so for your anime minute, what book are you reading?
Oh, it's done. It is not anime, so I will not discuss it.
Oh my gosh, dude!
Please,
people
just
want to know
tell
about
us.
your fucking life. What book are you reading?
It's called The Devil in the Dark Water. It's cool. It's good. It's a mystery book, so it fits. Yeah.
Is it because of Hyouka? Is that how you pronounce it? I forgot my fucking cheat sheet. Where's my cheat sheet?
Hyouka.
I
read the guy's first book, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, which I also quite enjoyed. So I decided I'll read this one. And I've read a fair number of mystery books in the past year or two because mysteries are fun and I enjoy them. And I really like that whole style of thing.
Should I get into these books that they keep talking about? Was it Christie's
Agatha
books?
Christie?
Yeah.
They're light, fun reads, I think. I read a handful of them. Yeah, they're cool. And a couple of them, which we'll talk about later, apologies, we will spoil them, are like the genesis of some pretty popular mystery tropes. Like, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, Agatha Christie basically invented mysteries. But yeah, that's it. No anime. Unless I jump into another book, I might do some anime next week.
Okay,
Either some Gundam. Oh, actually, I do have one thing. I saw a clip from Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun where
Don't know what that is.
it's an anime. It sounds good. But basically, like a manga artist who I think is struggling keeps drawing his characters at weird heights in relation to each other. And when like his editor or whatever calls him on it, he explains it away by that character on that scene is standing on a box.
What?
And it just evolves into like this thing. And then he eventually solves it by having one of the students like holding a box and saying like, we're all getting really into boxes. And the guy's like, you solved the wrong problem.
I fucking love that.
And that has kind of shot that show near the top of my list. So I may watch that. I think it's only 12 episodes.
Oh, what is it called?
Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun.
Oh my god, that sounds so good, actually. I like that. I like the premise.
I think it's about a struggling manga artist or something, or I don't know. I don't know much about it, but it's supposed to be good. And that clip is very funny. So that's it.
My anime minute. Still playing Breath of the Wild. Like I said, I finished Taskmaster, so I'm actually going to start getting to all the animes that I missed. I can't think of anything else I'm doing. I have one thing. It's a sad thing that I have to announce this. But one of my favorite shows when I was a child, a show called Shaman King. It's getting a reboot. Because guess who owns the rights to Shaman King?
HBO.
No.
Disney.
No.
CW.
DB Weinhoff.
No.
Me.
No.
I'm out of guesses.
It's Netflix.
Oh.
Netflix owns the rights to it, and you guys know what that means.
We just shit on so many people for a dumb payoff.
It means that I won't be able to watch it when it comes out. I have to wait for it to come out later this year. And I don't know if I could do that or not.
Wait, you don't have Netflix?
No. Do you not know how Netflix sends out their episodes?
Oh, yeah, all at once, generally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have to wait, and I don't want to wait. I want to watch Shaman King now.
Side note, that's kind of funny. Roughly right before the time of this recording, I think late last week, the Dota anime came out, and apparently it's pretty good.
Really? I heard it's bad.
Really? I've seen like mostly positive stuff about it.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Which
That's
I just
weird.
think that's kind of funny.
You, Anthony?
Still playing the Valorant Valheim and Grand Theft Auto 5. Having fun with that. But anime-wise, I have finally met, is it Mihawk?
Yeah.
In One
Hell
Piece?
yeah.
That little motherfucker just destroys Zoro.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you meet him earlier.
Yeah, man, I'm on like episode like 19 or 20 or something like that. I'm still in the
Baruti.
Baruti arc, yeah.
God, I love Redfoot. Was it Zeref? Is that what his name
Red
is?
Leg Zeph.
Yeah, Red Leg Jeff. Such
Yeah, I
a
think
fucking
that's-
awesome name. Oh,
Yeah,
so
I think
good.
I just got through that episode where young Son, Jesus Christ,
Sanji.
Sanji? Yeah, Sanji was with old boy, and he kind of half-ass tricked Sanji into like thinking that he was, taking some more of the food than his share or whatever, and wound up like having none.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember, I'm pretty sure Sanji was just like, why? Which I think is kind of funny.
You know that's different from the manga. The manga is more like bloodier than what happens in the anime.
I didn't know that, but yeah. And then I'm pretty sure I watched that episode, and I think I can't remember because I was kind of like at the end of this one I was really tired. But I'm pretty sure Luffy's about to hop into a fight now.
Yeah,
I feel
probably.
like he was gearing up. Yeah,
With
it
Don
seems like it's
Krieg.
time. I believe so. Like I can't remember if I stopped after that episode or if I stopped where he was about to jump in, and I didn't want to like be tired and watch a fight. So
Speaking of watching anime, we did 5 episodes this week,
Ooh,
and
good
boy,
segue.
is there a lot. So let's get trucking. Episode 13, A Corpse by Evening. Last we left, we were at the opening of Kanya Fest, and we jump right into Quiz Trial 7 with our elimination round.
I'm gonna give you guys this right now. I like this show now.
Hell yeah.
I think it's only because of this environment. I like seeing all the different characters actually do stuff and not do this like fucking mystery thing.
Yeah, I think the last bunch will probably lose you a bit again, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that. The first question is a diamond or barrel. Did you guys have guesses on these or
No.
no?
I was looking at the guy who's like, what's it called? Like the hype man or whatever it is, and he's struggling. Like he is doing his best, whatever it is. Like he's just moving his arms left and right, and just like, I'm like, God, dude, this guy and his showsmanship and the showmanship in this like stupid quiz thing is so annoying.
It is, but it's a fucking bad high school production of a quiz show, so it's like pitch perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
I couldn't get past our boy Satoshi and his fucking
Listen, man,
fucking Saturn head.
he knows how to capture a crowd.
Satoshi is a great showmanship. Beside
And a great swordsman.
And a great swordsman, absolutely.
Satoshi is obviously taking part in this and gets the first question right and kind of gets a smug look. He's like, I'm going to show them what a true database can do. We cut into the manga club for a brief scene where they are all stumped by the questions that are being asked and just kind of looking bored before we jump back out and meet Satoshi's friend Tani, who is one of the finalists along Satoshi.
I'd just throw that. I'd definitely be one of the people in my club room playing along. But not like
absolutely.
out there in the fucking, yeah.
Be like, I knew that. I could win this.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like, yeah, I could fucking, yeah, I totally knew that one, bro.
Oh no, this just reminds me when I was younger, we used to go to beat-ups, which is Buffalo Wild Wings in the States. And they had those like quiz shows on the TVs, wherever it is. And you get like one of these like blue computers, and you can always just like type down like the number that you think the quiz is on. And it was just really fun. It just reminds me of
I know
that.
what you're talking about. I never played it, but I always looked at the questions and been like, I could
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, same.
Oh yeah, but it's weird because you say it's Satoshi's friend, but Satoshi does not know his name.
Yeah, Satoshi doesn't really remember him, but obviously it's someone who, Satoshi had some sort of previous relationship with.
It's
Yeah,
an arch nemesis, an acquaintance, if you will.
Yes.
his
Someone
rival.
who may view Satoshi as a rival, which perhaps we'll talk about that later. Satoshi goes up as they're introducing the finalists and plugs the anthology and does his very dramatic, very elongated twirls,
God,
which the audience eats up.
I love when he's talking to the chick though, because the Saturn enters whole space, which is really funny.
See, this is I think this anime is terrible and unbelievable. This is sarcasm. She just now noticed that Saturn was in the fucking audience when he walks up on stage.
Well, she's not. She can't call it out from there.
Bro, she had plenty of time to like wait while Wavy Arms was picking which fucking side was left or right. She could have looked out and saw the only person in a costume that's like double the size of anyone in the fucking audience and be like, "Oh, there's someone dressed as Saturn."
Yeah, but you want that heat
like,
for the stage,
like,
man.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I agree with Owens.
If she if she's doing it like as a playful or not play whatever as like a showmanship thing, sure, I'll retire my previous.
Yeah, I mean the way she
gripes.
said it, she's like, "Wow, he's Saturn."
But if we're supposed to assume that she didn't see him the whole fucking time, fuck off.
We're not assuming that, Anthony. You're just putting your own things to it.
Absolutely, it's my own experience. Sal, leave me alone.
She is a professional presenter, okay?
Also, what happens if she calls out, "Oh, hey, there's Saturn over there," and the Saturn gets knocked out? You're like, "Well, there goes."
No,
like,
just in her head. She doesn't have to like specifically call it out, but just I was just kind of into like she was like. She literally like looked up from her car and was like, "Oh my god, this dude's Saturn. He's the one that won." If she didn't know that he was in the finals before he walked up on stage, then yeah, fuck off. But okay, I see where you guys are coming from. If it's a showmanship thing, I retire my previous statement.
Of course it is.
also, you want a voice actor to go in her head and say, "Huh, there's Saturn out there." You want that scene inside this anime.
Yeah, what a waste of 4 seconds that TV shows do not have.
I'm saying, dude.
A character that we don't give any fucks about. You just want to enter her mind just so you can hear the Saturn bit.
Oh, man.
It's called world building, Sal. Look it up.
What? What? Okay.
Your world sucks, and I want no part of it.
And also, the man that was moving his arm back and forth, like Sal mentioned, that boy was winded during when they were introducing the finals.
I know. Yeah, that was great.
He was just doubling over, going, because he was caught in Saturn's gravity that he didn't see beforehand.
Yeah, dude. Snuck up on everybody. Meanwhile, back in the classic lit room, Chitanda collapses into the room, pile of distractions in her arms, is briefly adjourns with Oreki before running off to ask the newspaper to cover the lit club. And Oreki spots a little something peeking out. We cut over to Chitanda going to the newspaper with Togaito, the reefer man. He denies Chitanda because he's like, "Yeah, lit club ain't special enough. But if he had something for me, maybe."
Yeah, like this classic lit club is like a really boring club. I don't know why anybody would join it, except maybe Owens, who's an English major. So,
bro, if I would join it if I was, I don't know, best friends with the guy who joined it or crushing on the guy who just joined it. None of them really joined it except for Chitanda for any reason other than they know people in it.
Well, what's his name? The main character joined it because of his sister.
Yeah, which he joined it because of someone else.
Yeah.
Chitanda, after getting denied by Togaito, is beckoned by her fortune-telling friend and wants to get her fortune told. But she cannot because the Wheel of Fortune tarot card has been stolen and a calling card left behind signed by Jumonji, which, of course, now this devolves into a reference to the movie Jumonji.
Wait, what?
What? That's how that
Did you guys not catch all the Jumonji parallels?
No, because
Did you not see the scene where Satoshi turns into a monkey?
I must have missed the scene where like the rhinos were chasing them down the street.
They even got Robin Williams to do one of the voices. No, there's nothing to do with Jumonji.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Did you have something you wanted to say about the tarot scene, Anthony?
Not particular. I just thought it was kind of funny. It's like come into the native TP for your fortune telling. I guess shamans, that kind of makes sense, but like
I don't think it's a native TP in Japanese culture.
Okay, that's fair. Nope, I'm just dumb.
Yeah, but there's always one of those at Culture Fest too. Listen, I'm not here to lie to you. There's also a book left with the calling card. Specifically, the card was tucked into a page of club comments, which is basically just a description of a handful of clubs. We come back to the trivia contest, and some girl we have never met before on the end predicts what a question is going to be. She hits that early buzzer. That girl is now tied up with Satoshi and his friend at 1 point away from victory. And the next question is the student council president's full name. Satoshi is about to buzz in, but hesitates. And then that girl buzzes in again and wins.
This is weird. This thing is interesting because it's... I forget what the question is. Do you remember what the question was?
Student council president's full name.
Yeah. So Satoshi forgets his rival's name. Like, he has to go through his like database and figure out what the guy's name is, and then he has to do it again for the student council president.
So the way I saw it was because the question is like, what is the student council president's? And then it cuts to Satoshi about to buzz, and then he doesn't. And then the question completes full name, and then the girl buzzes in. Almost like he thought he knew what the question was going to be, but didn't have the confidence to go through with it. And then just got beat on reflexes afterwards or whatever.
I mean, you might be right about that, but the way I looked at it was, I mean, he forgot his rival's name in the previous scene, and then he forgets the student council's president's name in this scene too. So it's like, there must be a reason for that.
I don't know if it's forgetting. I think it's just like lack of recall. I know that seems like a dumb thing to say probably, but
No,
if
I mean,
he truly believes he acts like a database, like he just couldn't recall fast enough. And this scene, I kind of thought it was more along the lines of self-confidence.
Yeah, I don't think it tracks for him to not remember given what we know of Satoshi up to this point. And it'd be inconsistent with later when he's like incredulous at the fact that Oreki doesn't know who the student council president is.
No, but like he forgot his rival's name.
Yeah, and that's one instance. But I just think it's because that guy has a view of Satoshi that Satoshi doesn't reciprocate.
Yeah, but I know what you're saying, but like you did say that like it's not like a thing for Satoshi to forget, but he did forget his rival's name. So I'm just wondering.
That's what I'm saying. He's not his rival.
Yeah, but he forgot this guy's name. So it's like Satoshi does get gaps in logic or gaps in his memory and stuff like that. And maybe the student council's president's full name is like different from what people call him.
Again, the way he reacts to Oreki not knowing it just doesn't track within itself.
Okay.
Plus, this whole arc of episodes is about Mayaka and Satoshi and their shit. So this being a bit of confidence from Satoshi, I think makes more sense. But then his friend turns to him and is like, "Hey, yeah, by the way, that funny story I want to tell you. Someone stole our ghost stones." He's like, "Cool, that is funny. Later, nerd. I don't like you." And the friend's like, "Wait, I want to keep competing with you."
You really did just fucking blow him off.
Yeah.
And Satoshi's like, "Yeah, man, fine. We're going to the cooking competition. Whatever." We come back to Oreki, who is peeping them photos.
Of course.
A guy comes in to buy Hyouka, and his fly is open. So Oreki gives him the pin to pin it close. And the guy gives him a water pistol. I love that the gardening club is using guns to put out any potential fires.
Listen, Plants vs. Zombies, garden warfare, okay? Sometimes you gotta use the water.
Good ref.
Question. Did you guys, I forget what it's called, but did you guys know about the concept that Oreki employs later of like the trading stuff? And did you guys see that was what was happening?
Yes, because I did watch The Office, and that's what one of the people do. And then there's a book that I read that's like that too.
Okay, yeah, it's in a lot of things. It's in Atlanta, actually, which is the reference I was going to make to touch base with you guys for.
Yeah, Darius does it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he like trades the katana for a bunch of money eventually.
Yeah. And like how he's like, "Oh yeah, you can give me like this money for like a dog." It didn't
like $3,000 or some shit when the puppies are done.
Yeah, and when the puppies,
Yeah. He was like, "I need money now."
Yeah. We come back to the manga club. They're not doing so well. Some other girls again hint at like a disagreement in the club, imply that somehow the club not doing super well is Mayaka's fault. Hyouka has the brief thought of, I wonder if Fukube will believe me when I tell him that I tried to behave myself.
That's so good. That's such
Yeah.
a crushy thing to think of. That's so adorable.
And she gets up and pushes and starts to really push back against Kochi's argument about the ability to determine what's interesting and whether things have value and the concept of subjectivity and all that. I think there is something to be said here, but I think it's better served when this conversation ends up coming full circle in a later episode.
Yeah.
And Kochi's basic argument is like, all manga's the same. Taste is so subjective. It doesn't fucking matter what you do. And Mayaka is very much, no, some things are made. Some things are better than others and is like an indisputable fact. Some things have value that others don't. Masterpieces can be born.
Different, bro.
Some things are just built different, bro.
Like The Fallen Empire by Brandon Sanderson. Read that book. It's really good.
Jeez, dude, you guys are becoming so fucking insufferable. I'm never gonna read those books.
It's your fucking fault, but you haven't read them, you motherfucker.
Kochi has never been bowled over by anything. And Mayaka mentions a manga called A Corpse by Evening. And when she does, a hush falls over the room. And people are like, oh, shit. But hey, they're getting customers. And we come outside and we see the president taking down a Battle of the Maidens sign.
Oh, I did not think about this until now. This is one of Salvador's, also Monkey's, nitpicking moments. So the Corpse by the Evening manga, or whatever it's fucking called, what's it called? Is it Corpse by Evening?
A Corpse by Evening.
By Evening, yeah.
Okay, so this is a manga that came out the year beforehand by the same manga place. And nobody in this club knows about this stupid manga except 2 girls or 3 girls in this club.
I think the way like the general audience reacts when she says it, like it implies that some of them probably do. And I think it's reasonable to believe that some of them don't. I mean, their first years in high school, unless they're like actual manga nuts like Mayaka, it's reasonable that they wouldn't have gone to the Culture Fest last year and bought it. And there probably isn't really much of a way for them to hear of it outside of that.
No, but like to me, it's one of those things. Yes, I do understand they're all 4 shields, but there are still second and third years. And it should be more of a discussing, in my opinion, about this manga.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The way others reacted to it, it looks like people knew that was like, oh, this is a sore subject. We are not touching this.
Yeah, isn't that why everyone gasped? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. To me, it looked like no one knew about it.
Yeah, I think they knew. I think it was kind of a 50-50 split, maybe.
Because no one knows about who's the artist and stuff like that. And like, the artist is still in the class, right?
No,
it's made by made by the club president, isn't it? The student council president. There was the girl that left, and who's the third one?
The third one didn't really make it, but it's Tanabe.
Yeah, but she has her name all over the book, so people should know.
No, none of the names were actually on the book.
Really?
Yeah, they used like a mashup of their names.
Yeah, it was a very strange thing that Oreki found at the very end.
Okay, because I thought Tanabe was the one that was saying, like, in that paragraph that she was the one that, like, her name's on it, even though her name shouldn't be on it.
Oh, he might have called out Anjo, but she's the one who transferred away.
I don't know. This whole mystery about this stupid manga, like, makes no sense to me. Like, they even described what happened, and I still do not understand what happened in this. Yeah, we could discuss that when it happens, but, like, I actually do not like the conclusion of this.
Honestly, as like the conclusion to the mystery, I don't feel it's particularly strong. But I think the character stuff around it is all very good. But we'll talk about it when we get there. Yeah, they have that conversation. And again, the Battle of the Maiden sign, which I think is great. Because the club president is always like so appeasing and nice. But she's like, oh, we know these 2 are going to go at it and it's going to draw attention. So that's how we get our customers.
It seems like most people, or at least it seemed like the club president and whoever she's fighting against, I forgot her name.
Kochi.
It seemed like they were both in on this. How to get people in?
Kochi, I think, is like part in on it, probably.
And I know
like she knows how to push
not.
Mayaka's buttons, but also I think she's also like is venting a bit, like using this as kind of an outlet. I don't think she's fully just like manipulating.
So I don't think it's fully. Well, I mean, obviously it's not. She's got a lot of personal backstory, but
yeah.
But no, I truly think because the president, skipping ahead a little bit, says like, she's messing with you a lot.
She doesn't mean what she's saying.
Yeah, and even like when they confront and have their little thing, like she even kind of says like, here's what my real position is, and here's why I have that position. And like even then, like it seems like they were just bringing in people because they could push Mayaka's buttons.
Yeah.
Which honestly was kind of like, it's kind of shitty because Mayaka was going through some shit during these 3 days. But it's kind of funny though.
Yeah, it is.
Like I want to give her a hug, but be like, I know it hurt, but like that, come on. give it a year and think about it again. Like, come on.
Yeah. We come to the end of the day and learn the cooking contest is a 3-man team and that they sold 14 copies.
Also, Satoshi is the leader of the events and he doesn't even know of the fact that it's a 3-man team. He looks in the book and like the book doesn't even tell you it's a 3-man team.
Yeah. Satoshi is on the executive committee, but he is bad at his duties. Chitanda has some other mysteries, but she puts them aside for the sake of the Jumonji, for the sake of the club, sorry. And then she notices the photos, and her and Oreki share a very awkward moment.
It's such a good awkward moment. 2 star-crossed lovers embarrassed over photos. Look, this is my PSA. Everyone listen up, okay? If you don't want your photos leaked, okay, keep your face out of it. Feet pics only. That's my motto.
Send them to us for approval.
Okay.
So we can confirm that you cannot be identified by them.
You know what's really funny? This is dumb, but I had written this down because it was just a train of thought. If you don't want your photos leaked, whatever. And then I said, send them to saintmonkey at mfa.thisisajoke.com.
Okay.
And it's really funny that you immediately went there before I even got it out.
I mean, hey, it's the joke that's there.
Oh, God damn it. Well, I guess I retire. That's my one joke for all 5 episodes, and you just took it from me.
Sorry, man.
I'll text you next time so we can script it better.
It's like I'm the Oreki to your Satoshi.
Absolutely. Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah. Mayaka is tearing apart her room looking for Corpse by Evening and remembers her reading it and it fucking sending her to heaven, basically, as it bathes her in light. She considers bringing a manga called Body Talk instead, but she's like, it's good, but not good enough. Not quite Corpse by Evening.
Did she write Body Talk?
No.
Okay, I was getting some weird vibes with Body Talk. I was kind of confused during that one.
You were probably supposed to. But Corpse by Evening is nowhere to be found. And that ends episode 13. So we jump into episode 14, Wildfire. Opens with Mayaka apologizing for not having the manga. She is now dressed as Ako from Himitsu no Ako-chan, a magical girl manga from 1960s. And Kochi is dressed as King from Art of Fighting, which, listen.
Deep breath.
No, King not as deep.
Okay.
Actually, her references get less deep. This girl is all about those SNK fighting games, so she's all right in my book, all right? All 3 of her characters, I think, appear in King of Fighters. She asks Mayaka for help with the posters, and Mayaka has the realization that, like, hey, wait a second. Because she apologizes for not having the manga, and at some point, Kochi uses the title Corpse by Evening. And Mayaka's like, she remembered the name of the manga. That's weird. And we cut over to them planning for the cooking contest. Satoshi shares his thief story with Tanabe. We learn that, remember the acapella club get their apple juice stolen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that happened too. So there's obviously a phantom thief out here. And Satoshi is curious now.
I want to interject just 1 second real quick. When they were talking about the manga, I know we're going back just a second, but they mentioned, like, are they doing like moe drawings for posters or whatever?
I don't think they're moe.
I have that word
Kochi's
written
is
down.
pretty moe, I think. We don't actually see Mayaka's like finished version, but the ones done by, I believe his name is Kugiyama, the club president.
Yeah.
He has like a very old traditional style.
So here's the little. It's really a story and less of a question kind of thing. When I watched this last night when I watched like 3 or 4 episodes last night. I can't remember how many, but I remember I wrote down moe. I was like, that word sounds so fucking familiar. When did we talk about moe before? And then I listened through our final edit of Divisible Part-Timer 3. And I was like, guys, what's moe? It's so that got answered while I was listening to the fucking final edit of the show. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny coincidence.
We cut over to Chitanda talking with Irisu, who accepts 20 anthologies at a lowered price of 150, and then extends her hand, to which Chitanda is briefly confused before putting her hand in hers.
God.
And Irisu's like, no, what are you doing? Give me a copy.
So good. So good.
And then the scene, like the cut afterwards, where they're just moving the hand back and forth like like they're working on a log, like as a saw team.
Yeah.
Is so fucking funny.
Yeah, they have a brief conversation, and then Chitanda sparkle eyes Irisu, to which he like yelps in fear.
She uses her special move,
Yeah.
her Reagan special ability.
This is a great scene because Irisu gets broken by Chitanda in like the same way Oreki does. Like her
Yep.
entire facade falls and she's nervous and uncomfortable. Which, okay. I'm just going to introduce this now and we'll get into it more as we go. But I think this is a good thing to keep in mind with these two. We had our movie arc, which showed a lot from the perspective, of someone with talent, mainly focused on Oreki. And then we get this arc, which is kind of focused on the other side of the people without talent, through a lens primarily of jealousy and that kind of thing. With, Satoshi being paired with Oreki, Mayaka being paired with Kochi, and by extension, Anjo and Kugiyama. And then Chitanda gets paired with Irisu, which is like the lightest and breeziest and kind of simplest, but also interesting because it almost goes both ways with those two. But we will talk more about that later.
Do you remember all the advice she gave her?
Yes. Irisu is giving Chitanda the advice on how to manipulate people, basically. Give them a sense of emotional contentment and expectation, and that the thing that you're asking of them is small to you, but big to them. And then she leans in and whispers in her ear, ask members of the opposite sex where no one else can see.
I love the descriptive that was used. She said this was terribly informative.
Yes.
It's such a good descriptor.
I'm sure this is all going to go great for Chitanda as well. Feels like things she can do.
No, it doesn't.
Meanwhile, Oreki gets fucking the weirdest people imaginable with the trick-or-treater confection club people.
God, this was so weird, but so cool. I like their tone. I was like, this is weird, but interesting.
Yeah, I love these two.
Yeah, I kind of wish they would show up more often. They're so random.
Their tone is so weird and creepy, but so innocent at the same time.
Exactly.
Oreki trades them the water gun and an anthology for 2 cookie bags, and they are so excited about the water gun that they throw in a bag of cake flour. Oreki then pays for the anthology himself. We cut to the manga club with Koichi and Mayaka doing their posters. Koichi's is done.
I can describe the scene perfectly.
Do it. Go.
Step 1, put sign outside. Step 2, pit the 2 hard-headed ones against each other. Step 3, question. Step 4, profit.
I mean, basically, yeah. But Koichi's is done, and she shows it, and hey, it's good. Further alluding to the fact that this girl ain't fake. Like, she cares about manga.
Yeah.
Satoshi sees it and is about to call out to Mayaka, but stops himself thinking, I'll just leave her in whatever she's doing. Satoshi is also not thrilled about his quote-unquote competition with Tani, even though he's kind of stoked for the cooking competition, which we get quickly into. Satoshi's plans to make his special fried rice, and Chitana's like, oh, cool, so that you're going to be our anchor man? He's like, shit, I'm going first, so I can't make my fried rice. We learn the rules. They are given a bunch of ingredients and tools, but they can use anything that is available on school grounds. Each person will cook for 20 minutes, has to make at least 1 dish, and then they rotate. And they can't help when it's not their turn. Chitanda is panicking at Fukube's performance because this clown doesn't know how to peel a daikon.
All right, two things about this whole scene, okay? Number one, Fukube needs to get the fuck together, okay? Mm-hmm. He needs to get his shit together. Number two, the other chef on that rivals team has 2 kids and a fucking mortgage. Why is he allowed to be in this fucking cooking competition?
Yeah, listen, man. I don't have anything for you.
But yeah, that's all I had.
Mayaka is trying to mime or not Mayaka, Chitanda is trying to mime something to Satoshi, and somehow he gets it. Eventually his turn ends. Chitanda starts off impressive, and they're all like, oh shit, this girl's coming out the gate hot. And then she immediately forgets what she's doing and just like freezes for a solid 5 seconds.
And they're like, yep, that's Chitanda.
Then she just starts doing she just starts making all kinds of shit too, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Like she just goes the fuck in.
We get to see the astronomy club. It is now Sawakaguchi's turn. The fucking publicity girl from the movie, and she is just like staring at a fire, looking mad, like mad, insane, not mad, angry. Like this girl, something just awoke in this girl. But it basically comes down to Chitanda versus the chef kid. We get one more quick shot of Sawakaguchi, who's like making a witch's potion, basically. Just pouring something into a green sludge. We get allusion from the announcers that there is some trouble as Chitanda is deshelling prawns. Satoshi tries to mime to her something to which she does not get at all. And happily waggles a prawn at him.
Happily waggles the prawn.
Something is wrong, obviously, and then we learn that Chitanda used all the ingredients and left nothing for Mayaka. She's got too carried away cooking. Mayaka, meanwhile, finishes her drawing and runs off to the competition. She gets there and she has nothing but one small onion and some water, and then like a little bit of a radish and one scallion. This is all being loudly announced that they don't know what they're going to do. And we see Oreki start to get restless, get his bouncy leg going. Tani's group has finished their omelet, and there's only 10 minutes left. We get a good shot of the astronomy club, and they are just fucking going. Something's not right with these people. I want an episode about them. Oreki calls out to Satoshi across the schoolyard. Eventually, Satoshi manages to hear him and run over. Oreki passes him the flour, and Mayaka is able to use it to quickly whip up some kakiyage tempura and yells for a ladle because apparently one is not provided. She finishes it just in time, and everyone's happy about it. Chitanda gives a bow towards Oreki's window, and the Classic Lit Club wins.
What a fun fucking event.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Mayaka, the goat, managed to do all of that with just some cake flour, fucking a radish or a carrot, a shrimp head, and a fucking onion and scallions. The goat. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, dude, she came in Kalizuch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oreki is in the room by himself, exhausted, because he yelled.
Bro, I'm done with him this episode. He said, I'm exhausted. Fuck you.
I kind of feel that one, honestly. He was yelling across the whole schoolyard, my man.
I think Satoshi's like, yeah, that's not even like a thing for you. Like,
yeah.
The fact that you did this is very interesting.
Yeah. I think that's called out at the beginning of the next episode, but yeah, Satoshi is I think so, but yeah, Satoshi is very much like, nah, that's a weird thing for Oreki to do. Mayaka, meanwhile, is bemoaning all of her imperfections and how she could have cooked better.
Yeah, they said, like, she talked about this scene, and I thought they lost, and I'm like, but they won. I don't understand the point of, like, complaining about, like, the ladle thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, she's not complaining about she is, in a way, because the food wasn't as good as it could have been.
Well, I guess once you say it like that, like, the food is not as good as it could have been, I guess you could say it like that, because Mayaka is a little bit of a perfectionist. You could see with the manga drawing and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess since you said that does make more sense. But it's still like, she said that and it's still like, I'm like, I thought they won. Like, it just bugged me. is what I'm saying.
Sure. And it honestly probably should. Because, as I kind of referenced, this whole arc and a lot of the show is about how these characters like interact with their imperfections and their failings and their weaknesses. And this is really specifically for Satoshi and Mayaka, they really explore it in this chunk of episodes. And you probably should be a little annoyed, like, Mayaka, what are you talking about, girl? You did good. You won. You're fine.
Exactly.
We learn that there should have been a ladle, though, so that was weird. And then Chitanda finds a calling card. And if I remember correctly, some meat is about to happen in episode 15.
I think you did remember correctly.
Oreki's sister prepared him a lunchbox, and he's like, but why is it ethnic, which is weird. They, as Monkey referenced earlier, they talk about Oreki's involvement in the cooking competition win, and Chitanda shows him the calling card, and then it cuts back to her with this weird, like, ping, as she looks at him expectantly before it cuts to the intro. Oreki tries to ignore Chitanda. He realizes it's no use, and he cuts her off and starts to talk, and then Satoshi eventually cuts him off and comes up with a plan to pitch the Phantom Thief story and how they're going to solve it to the newspaper club to get a section in the article for the third day.
Well, I was going to say, I do love this, the scene when Oreki does literally just says, like, just trying to, yeah, we're not doing this. Like, we got to think about, like, getting our sales numbers in. We can't be doing every case. I just love that. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was really good from, like, Oreki's point of view. It's like, yeah, we're not doing this today. We're not doing it, you guys. We're not doing it. And Satoshi's like, yeah, we're probably going to be doing it.
He's like, but what if we're doing it drew people to us, huh?
Yep, exactly.
Satoshi, a little shit. Oreki still kind of refuses, like, there's thousands of, it could be anybody. This is impossible. If only the thief would target the Classic Lit Club, then it'd be easier. Satoshi kind of snidely remarks, we could hit ourselves, to which Mayaka stares daggers through him. Oreki starts doing his little hair rub thing and gets onto something. And then we get the first references to Agatha Christie's ABCs of Murder and how this case seems to be following that in terms of execution and idea. I think it's Satoshi who says that Jumonji should be read as Jumoji. And I forget how that leads to something about like the 10th letter being the Classic Lit Club. This is some stuff that you probably need to understand Japanese to fully get.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I understood the reasoning in that, like, it was like, R, A, B, C, D, E, F, G or whatever. Like, I think somewhere around there, what would be considered F or G would be the Classic Lit Club.
Yeah. Satoshi has a plan and exits. Mayaka and Oreki are once again left by themselves, which is always great for both of them and not awkward at all. Mayaka is pissed for some reason, but denies it. We cut over to Chitanda trying to negotiate with the newspaper club, but they are whipped into a frenzy over the Phantom Thief story. She leads Togaito away and literally makes no sense at all in what she says. She just starts rambling stuff like, hey, put us in the paper, Phantom Thief, please. But it's important to you, not me.
God, Chitanda's so bad.
But it's important to you, not me.
Yeah, she does a real bad job. But then she just eventually blurts out everything, tells them basically the whole story, everything they know, and tells them about the mystery to get him interested. And when she says that Oreki will solve it, he flinches because Oreki intimidated him previously. He's like, yeah, if I can find it, if it works to bring you guys in, I'll do it. He walks away, and Chitanda has a vision of holding on to his elongated coat and dragging him back in to basically force him to include them in the paper. I think this is where she resolved, like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I have to trust that he's going to keep his word. He's going to do his part. Going all the way against Irisu's advice. Satoshi and Chitanda bump into each other and devise that the Magic Club is the next target, and Satoshi is going to stake it out. Tani also knows and is also there and is like, it'll be our next competition to catch the thief in the act. And Satoshi's like, fine, dude, whatever. Stop talking to me. Oreki asks Mayaka about the ABCs of murder. She tells him that, yeah, the killer in that book, he did it that way because he wanted to, which I haven't read that yet, so I don't know if that is completely accurate, but I assume it is. Oreki finds that unsatisfying and decides that there must be some purpose behind the way this thief is doing it. Mayaka questions Oreki's motives, to which he replies that he can't ignore. Chitanda is someone that he can't ignore because she won't go away until she's satisfied. And Mayaka just laughs at him. This is where he invokes the Warashibe protocol. Oh, yeah, because Mayaka goes to leave and Oreki holds out his hand.
Yep.
So I think they have a brief thing about the flower, and then she gets up to leave, and Oreki holds out his hand, and she's like, you want me to pay you for the flower? He's like, don't make it sound sordid. It invokes the Warashibe protocol, which is the trading things for other stuff. So Mayaka gives him a mirror, and Oreki says, don't you need this for your cosplay? And she whips the mirror into his face.
Can you cosplay without your mirror?
But yes, he does say it's not cosplay.
She really doesn't like it called fucking cosplay.
She yells at him not to call it cosplay and chucks it in his face.
So, would you like to discuss what this protocol is?
Yeah, I think we might have covered it earlier, but briefly, the Warashibe protocol is basically, it comes from, I think, a famous, like, really old story where someone traded up, like, from, like, a stick or a grain of wheat or something and just kept trading up and up and up into riches, basically.
Okay.
So it's the idea of trading something that has no value to you but value to someone else until you get something that has more value to you. Satoshi is at the magic show staking out, and Irisu enters. Satoshi is like, hey, I didn't know you like magic. And she's like, I haven't seen enough magic to have an opinion on magic.
Wow. Like Irisu.
Yeah, which I actually, in the episodes, I didn't fully get it, but as I thought about it a bit, I love the characterization of Irisu in this chunk of episodes, and why I think pairing her up with Chitanda specifically is like such an interesting thing when taken into the themes of all of this. But again, we'll talk about that later. Tanabe and the president also enter, as well as Kochi and the manga club president. And Satoshi thinks all like, oh, could it be one of them? The performance starts, and the candle is already missing. We get a quick talk about Satoshi's flawed logic and how there's no reason to believe that they would do it in front of people. Like there's no reason to believe it would have been during the performance rather than beforehand. So catching them in the act doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
We come back to the manga club, and the Vocaloid girls are talking shit again. And Kochi comes in and actually silences them this time instead of like kind of snidely doing it towards Mayaka. Mayaka still exits and is kind of despondent out on like the overhang thing and is about to call out to Fukabe, but holds herself back and thinks that like, man, it's kind of pathetic how every time I feel a little bit down, I want to run to Fukabe and the others.
No, that just means you have friends.
Yeah, but I think it's, indicative of how Mayaka is generally independent and sees herself as capable of solving her own problems. Which, again, is something I think we will talk about later in more context. The Yuasa, the manga club president, comes out to Mayaka and basically explains Kochi to her, like Anthony was talking about before, where she's like, yeah, she doesn't mean any of what she's saying. She's just joking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows because they're friends. And she was also Kochi was friends with the author of Corpse by Evening, who we learned is a girl, or we might already know, but the girl Anjo, who has transferred away. Mayaka asks a little bit more about Kochi, and Yuasa says, I can't really say more. And Mayaka assumes it's because for her to say more, she would have to talk bad about her friend.
Mayaka needs kind of a hug right now.
Dude, yeah, Mayaka needs a big hug in all these episodes.
Yeah.
But you know what? She'll be all right.
I think so.
That's kind of Mayaka's thing. She's all right. She has a good cry and then she's good.
Dude, fucking same, honestly.
The extra is posted and Chitanda furiously scours it, and finally sees a brief mention. I think it literally just says the words "the Classic Lit Club."
He did come through.
Yeah. Which, Chitanda.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oreki and Satoshi talk about catching someone in the act, where Oreki basically lays out Satoshi's flawed logic to him. Chitanda comes in and does a quick roundup, and we learn that the last target is going to be the Classic Lit Club, but it could be the Industrial Club.
Do we have that club around here?
I don't think so.
No, that's what Oreki says. He's like, do we have that club?
I don't know what the Industrial Club is. I want to see some of them. Chitanda is going to do a radio show, and then we cut to later that night. Chitanda is on her floor commiserating with her eggplant pillow.
I love this eggplant pillow so much.
It's a good pillow.
It's such a good pillow.
Yeah, and she's just exhausted. For the first time, we see Chitanda not only tired, but maybe in a little bit lower spirits than is expected of her. We cut over to Mayaka, who is again considering body talk, but it's like, but it's a step below corpse by evening. And she pulls some of her own stuff out of her desk drawer. It's like, my stuff is hundreds of steps below body talk. Which, hey, we will come back to that whole thing too. As kind of everyone's character arc, except for, well, Oreki kind of got his last time, but at least, not Chitanda, Mayaka and Satoshi, like their character arcs pretty much climax in these episodes, I think. Satoshi is thinking about Oreki and Chitanda and who the real culprit is, and has the resolve to catch Jumonji. And we see Oreki on the school website looking at the mail order, the Kanye Festival. There we go. That's what it's called.
Wondering why he's doing that.
And that, yeah.
Honestly, until the last episode, I completely forgot he had done that.
Did you guys have any like theories going through this stuff, or like up to this point?
No, I mean, I had nothing. I don't know. I just think it's so weird that affected the manga and the heist all connected. It's just so weird, and it's so weird that Oreki's sister like knows stuff behind this.
I think that's definitely a stance you could take. I think it's questionable, but more or less irrelevant in a way. Whether or not she knew that there was a connection there is possible. I mean, we do see her in this episode like examining the poster that kind of can connect it all together. And if we do take her as like genius level above Oreki, I guess it's possible that she could have made that connection off of that poster. Or it's just, she liked Corpse by Evening and wanted to read the next one. And obviously not being a part of the school anymore, wouldn't know anything, and just wants to find it, wants to know who made it or whatever. I don't know.
It's so weird because Corpse by Evening, it was a school festival thing. So, and she wasn't in school during the time. So
yeah, but anyone can go to the festivals. In fact, they very open to the public, and that's kind of the whole thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why she would go back to the festival, is what I'm trying to say.
Because she has a lot of connections in the school.
Yeah, remember the fucking dude who cooked for fucking Tawny or whatever?
Yeah, the guy with the two children.
Yeah, he's a fucking 7th year.
Yeah, the 7th year.
And he's still lost to Chitanda.
All right, yeah, just to sum this episode up, Chandra, please no.
What up? The next episode?
No, this one.
Oh,
when she like tried to manipulate people.
Yeah.
Tony could fuck off, or Tawny, whatever his name is. Fuck the bongo girls, and yeah, Mayaka, you cuddle that body pillow. You deserve it.
No, that was Chitanda.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, Mayaka was talking about how bad her manga is compared to Body Talk.
Oh, I think I mixed Body Talk and Pillow.
Yeah. But let's move to episode 16, The Final Target. Satoshi is geared up, and there's a ton of people hanging outside one of the club rooms trying to be detectives, trying to catch Phantom Thief.
Yeah, there's a whole fucking unit there, like a whole squad.
And Satoshi is kind of annoyed at this, especially at the fact that Tani's there again. Being like, hey, I'm going to catch him first.
Yeah, who is, like, this guy is just so random. He just pops out of nowhere and he's just like, I have a rivalry against Satoshi. And I'm just like, okay, I guess you do.
Satoshi's like, no, you don't, bro. Leave me alone.
He reminded me of the Gary Oak, like the old school for fucking Pokemon.
Explain.
All he was to me was another fucking trainer battle. He was nothing. He was fucking less
Gary.
than nothing.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to catch them all and like just fucking have a level 99 fucking Charizard. That's all I wanted. Like, fuck off, Gary. Like, with these stupid fucking just walking into my life, making me fucking fight you.
Wait a minute.
Or I guess if you named him douchebag or whatever.
Do you not know who Gary is? You see,
No, I
Gary
do. I
is a
forgot
person
he was
from,
Gary Oak.
The Pokemon games. He's a rival to Ash Ketchum.
Oh my Jesus Christ, dude.
This
sucks.
He had a sports car in the first season.
He was one also.
Yeah, isn't he like
first...
12, dude? If he's old enough to have a car, why is he having beef with this 12-year-old?
You know this is a Pokemon world, right? And Ash Ketchum's 10.
Not better.
Ash is 10?
I think he's 10.
That kid's not 10.
I think he's 10.
Bro.
I'm pretty sure he's 10, you guys. Also, fucking, in this world, it's okay for your kid to fucking leave the house and go catch Pokemon, even though Pokemon's are super duper dangerous.
Ash Ketchum is 10?
Yeah, he is 10. I remember this.
As you said, Chitana sees the mysterious woman. Like, I feel like I've seen her somewhere. People start to give up on the stakeout, and Jumonji has stolen from K-On! Skipping letters. The Classic Lit Club, the anthology Hyouka, is selling surprisingly well, and Tomei enters and tussles Oreki a little, much to his displeasure. Buys an anthology and takes the mirror, leaving Oreki with a copy of A Corpse by Evening, which he sees is written by Anshinshin Takuha.
Also, their little banter, their little playful fucking brother-sister banter, like where she like puts it on his head and stuff.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Their relationship's very good.
It's so nice, dude.
Yeah, and she leaves him with like, yeah, you decide if you wanted to pass your time with her or not. I don't care. Later. Although, you could read as her saying, kind of being smug, like, you decide if this is worth your time. Hey, I'm hinting at something here. Oreki flips to the end and reads the notes from one of the people involved. They talked about their plans for the next manga that will be written the next year called the Kurdyavka sequence. And I kind of give shout outs to the two creators and how like, oh yeah, they were people who had never really done this before, but then they came together and made something amazing. And I'm just like the background person. So it feels weird to be the one here doing all the hyping.
The author notes and shit.
Yeah.
Who's this passage from? Like, who is it?
Tanabe.
Okay, remember, I'm not good with names. Would you like to explain who Tanabe is?
The mastermind behind the Jumonji incident.
Okay, so the student council president.
No.
Okay.
I don't know what more you want from us.
You know who he had that conversation with in the hall thing, whatever, when he was explaining all the plan?
Who is it? Just tell me who is it, you guys. It's not hard.
He's just a guy on the executive chair or whatever. Like, that's the only, I think, prominent.
It's the guy
thing that
Oreki
he
is talking to at the end for a long time.
He's not the student council president?
No.
Oh, is he the head of the executive community? Is that what it is?
Something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the head, but he's up there. He's not like super like.
He's over Satoshi. We know that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's who I wanted to know. Okay. That's who I wanted to know. I thought he was the student council president. I didn't know he wasn't. Okay.
Chitanda is at the broadcast club about to knock on the door, and the guy comes out and jumps at the chance to have the president of the Classic Lit Club, the last target of the Phantom Thief, on his show, and is doing some real creeper hands as he talks to her.
She finally
fondling
comes through
the air.
and gets a spot. She finally comes through.
Yeah. All on her own, not because it was...
She's not the last one, and they can get her.
Oreki, meanwhile, is reading Corpse by Evening, and he's like, damn, this is good, actually.
Yeah, this is possibly my favorite scene of these 5 episodes.
Oh, God. Chitanda comes in and sees him reading it, and she's seen the art before and gets curious. And Oreki's like, no, we're not doing this shit, and tries to keep it away from her.
Specifically, she's like, and he's like, no. She's like, I am curious. And that like triggers the whole fucking thing. And then he's like, it's on the tip of my tongue. And he's like, swallow it. Swallow it. So fucking good, dude.
Yeah, these two are adorable.
Oh, this is how you do relationships, all right?
Yeah, it's like they're positive and not constantly fucking bickering and hate each other.
Oh my God. It's so refreshing. You guys smell that? It's refreshing air right there, boys.
He leans back, trying to keep it out of her reach as she leans forward, trying to get it. And he sees down her shirt, like literally the tiniest bit
And
possible.
this is also how you do it.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, shit, and gives up.
Yep. My man's a gentleman. Although if she leaves pixels around, he would totally look through them.
Yeah, I don't think he was being a gentleman. I think he was like, oh, no, this is extremely uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
She figures out that it looks like the picture outside the conference room. And then we cut back over to the manga club. Mayaka is dressed as Senri Mariko from Rainbow Parakeet, a phantom thief manga made by Osamu Tezuka, who I think may be kind of a shitty person, I believe. But he's like considered the grandfather of anime and manga, basically. He made so much shit, so much influential stuff. The biggest name of his is probably Astro Boy.
Oh, it's that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Not surprising. Kochi is dressed as Mai Shiranui from Fatal Fury, another SNK property. Also appears in King of Fighters. Shitty Girl tries to splash Mayaka with a little bit of paint, but gets bumped and just completely drenches her cosplay.
Fuck this bitch.
It's coffee, right? Or tea? It's not paint.
Oh, I thought it was.
No.
I thought it was paint.
I think it's just paint water where they try to get the
okay.
paint off the brush to use the brush again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and she just gets it all over fucking Mayaka. Fuck.
Mayaka calmly gets up, walks out, and is like, "Hey, President, I'm leaving."
You describing that felt like I felt like I was watching that again. Just calmly gets up, contains the fucking
The angle?
emotions.
Yep.
I am leaving. I'm gonna go change. Do you need me? Good. I'm gone.
The fact that this girl says she has the audacity to say that she did not mean to do it. Fuck you. That's all I have to say.
Hell yeah. She runs into Chitanda, having changed. They discover that the corpse by evening and the poster were drawn by the same person. And they then learn from Tanabe that the student council president drew it.
Mayaka needs this adventure. She's had a rough day.
Yeah.
The student council president?
Yeah, he was the artist for the corpse by evening. Yeah.
But it wasn't the executive guy?
No, he was like just kind of like part of the project. He wasn't like.
Okay. I mean, I'm just so confused.
In terms of like percentages, it was like 40% the girl that left, 40% the class president, and like maybe 20% him. They were all three together. Yeah, at best. They were all three together on the project. He did the least amount. And then she left, and then the student body president just was like, no, I just did that once.
Then what's the goal have to do with it? The one that Mayaka is like fighting with? I thought she was a drawer.
No, we'll talk about her later.
No, yeah, sure. We'll touch that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one's, yeah. We cut back to the club room, and Oreki has no clue who the president is.
Jesus Christ.
And everyone's like, you fucking idiot. And then he's like, oh, yeah, him, of course. Like, trying to play it off.
Of course, yeah, I do that the whole time.
Oh, and his thing's like, oh, I thought his name, like, I thought it was written Rikuyama, which, again, probably makes more sense if you understand Japanese writing. And we're also then told that Ashinshin could be read Ajimu instead. All stuff that makes sense. You guys get it, I assume?
Yeah, just in case, though, Chris, just for people who don't understand, would you mind explaining it to the class?
You see, in kanji, different symbols can have, I don't know.
Episode 17.
Satoshi starts coaching Chitanda for her radio interview while Oreki thinks. He comes up with something, but decides that Chitanda would be against his thoughts. So he asks Satoshi aside, who immediately blows up his spot. It's like, you got something, huh? Hey, everybody, Oreki's got something.
Satoshi, you fuck.
Chitanda gets sad that Oreki won't include her. And and like kind of appeases her and is like, but what I'm thinking is real obscene. You don't want to hear about this. We cut to them having got away, and Oreki kind of admits that he doesn't have anything really, and Satoshi gets upset at him. They go over the facts and lay out some important questions regarding the case and talk about Agatha Christie's famous works. Oreki thinks it's in relation to the ABCs of murder because of the Kurdyavka sequence, which is a dog sent to space that never made it back. I Googled the Kurdyavka sequence, and all that came up was Hyouka, so this might be entirely fictional. For Satoshi, this brings out the image of violent death, so he thinks it's more in relation to the story And Then There Were None. And they talk about the 4 big Agatha Christie works, which the other 2 outside of those are The Murder of Roger Ackroyd and Murder on the Orient Express.
I'll be honest, I was pretty checked out at this point.
So I think this is actually pretty fun in reference to these episodes. Like, are you guys familiar with these 4 stories?
I do. I have heard of the Express one. Oriental Express.
Anthony, any familiarity with these stories?
Just synopsis-wise, I'm pretty sure And Then There Were None slowly dwindles down to like one person left.
Uh-huh. Didn't you say you read that?
I played a game. I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, anyways, before that, so the first thing that's called, was it the Kurdyavka sequence, what it's called? It is a dog.
Oh, okay.
It's Laika. Laika was a Soviet space dog, which became one of the first animals in space. Orbited Earth. It's a stray Mongol from the streets of Moscow. Wow, they picked up a stray to do the Soviet space flight Sputnik 2, which launched in 1957. You see what happens when you type in the first word and not the whole thing?
If we get 2,000 patrons, me and Sal will do a Soviet-based history podcast.
We won't.
You guys will absolutely butcher that.
Yeah. But unlike Owens, I'm willing to do the research.
Yeah, see, it will be fun.
So these stories, in relation to how this mystery could play out and some of the stuff they hint at, and to be fair, I think they're right, and these are like Agatha Christie's 4 big stories as well, is super kind of fun to think about, especially since I think 2 of them technically apply. So the ABCs of Murder, I admittedly have not read, but if Mayaka is to be believed, the outcome of that is that the guy did it for fun. I don't know if the person who did it is significant, but in the other 3, it definitely is. And Then There Were None, one of the victims did it. I think it's like the 4th or 5th victim or something ends up staging their own death, and they're the real culprit.
Oh.
In Murder on the Orient Express, everyone did it. Yeah, it's a fun thing where everyone had a motive for wanting the person dead, and they were all in on it.
Oh, it's okay. I mean, I do know that scenario, the mystery scenario where everybody.
Yeah, I mean, these are like these are the most famous twists in like mysteries ever. And the Murder of Roger Ackroyd, the narrator did it. The guy recounting the story, like it's framed as someone writing the story after the fact, almost like Watson writing about Sherlock Holmes. And it's revealed at the end that, he did it.
So she's almost at a twist at this point, right? Because there's not many more people in the story that can do it.
Who?
Agatha Christie.
Well, she's inventing all the twists.
Because she had the narrator do it, someone in the story do it, one of the victims do it.
Yeah. Well, that's why these are
twists.
like the big ones. And if you think about how it applies to these episodes and some of the stuff they hint at, like, yeah, because you get the sense as we get further into this episode and the next episode that Satoshi maybe thinks Oreki is doing it.
Really?
I didn't get that.
I think so. Oh, I kind of get that in the way that he feels like it's almost too convenient. Or I think he thinks it's a possibility, not that he thinks it's necessarily the case.
I see why Satoshi's not good at solving crimes now. Okay.
Yeah, he can't come to conclusion.
Well, he's not wrong, though, actually.
No, he's wrong.
You don't even know what's happening in the mystery.
No, I mean, Oreki only does at the end, just to sell more things.
The way he frames it, well, yeah, but I think at this point, he's more or less figured it out.
Yeah, he figured it out. He's not fucking going and fucking helping the guy. He's not going...
He literally does.
At the end. At the end.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't that's a really hard stretch. I think they tried that just to make it fit because it would be a fun talking point as well, that, like, or an interesting way to look at it. But like, I feel like they forced that real hard. There's a scene. I only watched one of these in English, and I can't remember if it was 16 or 17. I actually watched all of them in dub. Sub.
Mm-hmm.
But there's one scene that I remember dub. There was like, it was when everyone was crowded around it. Maybe the next scene or the next episode. Everyone was like in the room or whatever. And then someone, like, as they're trying to talk, someone in the background was like, I bet it's the classic Lit Cup doing it the whole time, you know?
Yep.
I feel like that was just like a forced dialogue to like try to make that relatable. That was my take on that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if you guys didn't pick, I could be picking up on, I could be wrong or maybe not. I don't know. But I definitely feel like there's some stuff from the show that wants us to think that maybe Oreki is up to something, especially given like how like impossible he frames it to sell all the things. And he faked a mystery at the very beginning of the show as well.
Oh, Oreki did?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he faked the mystery so he wouldn't have to solve the main mystery for Chitanda.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those things. I don't think Oreki... I just didn't see that.
I mean, you have to think of it from his perspective. What's the easiest way to sell all 200 copies? That was his goal.
Well, also, then wouldn't Satoshi not feel it as like he wouldn't consider it a competition. He'd consider it more of like I'm going to find you kind of
Well,
thing,
that's
right?
the thing. I don't think he thought Oreki did it, but I think they used some of the shots of Satoshi and the way he like brooded at Oreki and stuff to kind of maybe convey the idea that it's possible that Oreki is behind it.
I just kind of assumed those were jealousy.
Yeah, all those brooding shots was just jealousy that Oreki can solve it and he can't.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, but some of them came from like not Oreki solving it though. Like actually just like there would be no reason for him to be jealous in that specific moment.
No, there was so many times he was jealous of Oreki. I'm just saying because Satoshi did all the common mistakes that Oreki would not have done. So Satoshi's just mad at himself that he could not solve the mystery because of Oreki.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think that's 100% correct. I'm just saying that I think
Satoshi went around looking at every place, being at every single spot, trying to find every single thing. And then fucking Oreki just solves it by reading a fucking manga. Like, he's butthurt as fuck. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, I just never saw what you've seen is what I'm trying to point. Is my point.
Yeah,
here.
I'm not trying to say that like my way is correct. I'm just presenting a possible thing. Oh, Oreki thinks it has to do with the manga and is stuck on the idea that there has to be a purpose to all the thievings.
Which foreshadowing. Kind of not.
He mentions how there's little disruption to the festival, like it's just minor inconveniences, so it's not someone trying to really hurt anybody or cause any big scenes or anything.
If anything, I'd argue it's helping.
Yeah.
Keeping people more like, you know, I wonder when he's going to strike again.
Yeah. Satoshi starts to leave and is like, yeah, I'll go get our bait ready. And then he looks back and says, I have high hope, or thinks I have high hopes for you, Oreki. We cut to Chitanda going to her radio interview, to which she immediately headbutts the microphone. And
This is going to go well. This is going to go real well.
We jump to episode 17, the Kudryavka sequence. We come back to the interview where Chitanda is constantly referencing her notes of how to conduct a good interview. And in the bottom corner of each page, she has written the word pumpkin for some reason.
That's
I
great.
didn't even see that. How do you know?
Yeah, I think it was written in English too.
Oh. Dude, she's fucking nailing it.
Yeah. Well, kind of. Yeah, she does okay. She more or less follows Irisu's advice, but puts a little of herself in there. And I think the radio guy definitely helps it.
Yeah, I imagine this is the product of like her coming at this with Irisu in the back of her head, but then like Satoshi was like, calm that shit down. Like, this is all you need. Because didn't he help her prep?
Yeah, but I don't think they talked about like how she should conduct herself regarding Irisu's advice. It was more just like how to present yourself on the radio.
Maybe taking like Satoshi things and running them through like the Irisu mill of like how to do things, you know?
Yeah.
something like that. But it feels very like weighted between those two. It feels like a really nice balance, and I really think she did pretty well, especially for fucking Chitandra.
While this is happening, Mayaka enters the club room and notices that there are fewer copies of Hyouka. We cut to a really long shot of Irisu purchasing a frog plush. The radio interview eventually ends, and Chitanda is not sure, and she thinks to herself that she's not sure if she should be doing this. We get Mayaka's adorable classic lit club versus Jumonji poster. It's very good. It flashes very quick, but it's great. 3 of them are standing guard while Oreki is selling copies. Standing guard around the manuscript they have put out as bait while Oreki is selling copies. There's murmuring in the crowd, as Anthony had said, that like, oh, they could be doing this themselves. And then Satoshi's phone rings, and when everyone looks away, the manuscript explodes. Chitanda notices water on the desk, and Mayaka finds the calling card. No one in the classic lit club looks happy.
Get fucked, classic lit club.
The fact that Satoshi picked up the papers and was like using his hand instead of his feet, I just thought that was really weird to wipe away the fire. That's all I have to say.
I guess a weird way to put out fire.
Yeah, it was just like, why are you not using your feet? Your feet like would make more sense than your bare hands.
Probably an animation thing.
Yeah, you might be right.
We cut to an article that just says Classic Lit Club beaten. Chitanda goes to see Irisu, who's sold out of copies of Hyouka. Irisu tells Chitanda that she's not cut out for the advice that she gave her. When she tries to do it, she just comes off as needy. And eventually, if you stay trying to do that sort of stuff, you'll swap out your true nature for it. And that her weaknesses may be a strength somewhere else. And Chitanda's like, yeah, I was thinking it's kind of the same thing.
Irisu's pretty awesome.
Irisu's great.
And like I referenced earlier, I think it's so interesting that these two got paired up because Chitanda initially goes to Irisu for advice about how to manipulate people and follows it and succeeds ultimately with the radio interview, but ends up feeling worse because of it. Even though like initially she was maybe presented as a tiny bit jealous of Irisu's ability to get people to do what they want for her. And then on the flip side, Irisu comes off as super jealous of Chitanda. Throughout these episodes, we see Irisu's scenes are weird because the first one is with Chitanda where she gets Chitanda basically Orekis her. Mm-hmm. The second one is her at the magic show, which you could take as her trying to solve the mystery. Or you could take it as her as just being like, she kind of wants to see a magic show. She thinks that might be fun.
I thought she was straight vibing.
Yeah. And then again, there's that really long shot of her buying a handmade plush frog for some reason, which again, when you think of like this cold-hearted empress of the school, probably ain't buy these cute little frog plushes. And especially where she throws in the line, if you do it enough, it'll replace your true nature. It's almost, maybe not almost, but it's like Irisu is the one who's envious of Chitanda in that Chitanda is able to succeed in what she wants and have what she has by being like super straightforward and genuine and just who she is, even though she's weird and bubbly and kind of airheaded, while Irisu has to put up a front. She has to manipulate people. She's tried so hard to get her status and get what she wants that it's like it's become who she is now in a way.
Listen, Chris, I think you're on the right point. Okay, you're on the right start.
Yeah.
But
go ahead.
I just want to see how you reacted to that. But no, I think it's a grass is green on the other side kind of outlook for both, or at least for Irisu in this point. Because
sorry, I just want to throw in one thing real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think you're 100% correct, and that specific phrase was uttered by Oreki.
Really?
In a set of episodes or two ago, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, and yeah. Was that in reference to these two, though?
No, it was in reference to, like, himself, right?
Comparing him to Irisu?
No, comparing himself to, quote-unquote, like, a rosy life, in a way. Where it's like, I could have that more interesting life, but once you're there, maybe they wish they were more like me, you know?
Yeah. And this could be a stretch, but just based on like hearing what she said, how she reacts, and how like it seems like that scene that like, where Chitandra was able to like get her like with the purple eye special move. It seems like that was just her taken aback, like not prepped mentally for this interaction, because afterwards, like it didn't seem to. She had her shield up. She was prepared mentally and physically ready for the battle. But
well, she still had like kind of a Oreki face where she was a little unsure. She had the little sweat drop.
yeah, maybe I don't know. Yeah, you look at the faces a lot in this anime for some reason.
Dude, there's so much in the faces. Dude, KyoAni does so much detail in everything.
But my whole point is I felt like she already knew who she is, and if I feel like she's at a previous time had probably already thought about this, and is just informing Chitandra like this is just what this is. I feel like Irisu's already self-aware enough to know that like it's not really a jealousy. It could be like a in the back of her mind thing, but I feel like she's already came to terms with it, and she's just explaining to Chitandra to try to keep her on her path, which is not in contrast to, or I guess not to compare to what you said, but in contrast with what you said, I believe, right? Is that the right words to use? They're almost like in tandem, right?
Yes, yeah, I think you are 100% correct, because if you remember what I said about this being about weaknesses and how you deal with them. That's another great reason, or that's another reason why Chitanda being paired with Irisu is great, because taking what you said as correct, I think Chitanda is exactly the same in that she knows who she is, she knows her weaknesses, she knows her strengths, and she's happy to use them where applicable. She's happy to lean on others when she has to and use other people's strengths. Mm-hmm. That, she does have that brief moment where, she feels like she isn't capable of being this commanding presence and getting people to do what she needs them to do. But ultimately decides that even if she can't be that person, that's fine. She'll be someone else.
And this may be a dumb point just to add on to that. I think, like I said, Irisu's already fought that battle before. Mm-hmm. Where, can I be Chitandra or, like her, bubbly and all that stuff. But I think do you think this is the first time Chitandra's tried to fight that battle? Because that's kind of the vibes I was kind of getting. And that's when she was like, so. I'm not cut out for this. And I think that, like, that's the cool part about this is is Irisu already knew. And Chitandra was like, I think I found this. And she really, for more or less, found it on her own. Like, when they were talking, they were literally just sharing thoughts like, it's okay to be what we are kind of deal, whether. But I think it's really cool that they kind of both came to that realization separately, at least not at the same time, but then just talked about it together. It's kind of cool.
And a little bit on that note, I thought I would be able to talk about it by now, but I still don't think I can talk about the other thing with Chitanda until the last set of episodes. But this being the first time that she would have had to fight that battle, I think really ties into one of the other themes of the show, in that until she was, confronted with Oreki in the Classic Lit Club, Chitanda never really had to confront anything. Like, she was never, not only did she never really have any hardship, but she was never really faced with choice and the idea that she might be different or might be able to be different than she is. But I think we'll talk about that more in the next set. Anything else on Irisu and Chitanda as characters before we move on?
So
Monkey, anything to add to this?
What to add? There's nothing else to add. You guys went over everything.
Okay. We fucking took that topic and destroyed it.
Satoshi, meanwhile, is talking to Mayaka. Or is not talking to Mayaka. He's talking to Tani. And Tani is like, man, didn't solve it. Oh, well, I had higher expectations of you, Satoshi.
Yo, fuck this kid. Take him out back and beat the shit out of him. Use your database and fucking remember that jujitsu you learned about, dude. Fucking take him out.
Go get that fucking 30-year-old chef that was on his team.
Mm-hmm.
And then Satoshi is talking to Mayaka, the word expectations. And he says, expectations is a word for after you've given up. Any thoughts on that sentiment? or the word expectations and how they're trying to play with it in this episode and what it means to them.
So this is going to be a strange deep dive, but have you guys ever seen Easy A?
No.
Fantastic film.
Yeah. The only issue I have with that whole movie is it is way too smart to be staged in high school.
And you think of it like in this one where they're too smart to be talking about these kind of issues?
Yeah, so I think Satoshi, for not being able to conclude very well, I think this is a little bit of a stretch for his character to be able to like wordplay like this, like so fucking... I mean, unless he's already looked into this stuff before, but...
No, I mean, this is what he thinks of to himself about expectations and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe. It just kind of like, nah.
So, to kind of explain what I think Satoshi's viewpoint on expectations is, whether I agree with it or not, I don't fully know. It makes an amount of sense to me, is that using the word expectations implies that you know the capabilities of something. When you have expectations of someone or something, there is the idea that it's going to meet a certain criteria and not necessarily rise above it. I mean, yes, of course, the idea of exceeding expectations exists, but it's basically saying that you don't see this thing as being capable, or you don't think it's going to produce more. It's going to produce a certain level that you're already aware of. And like I said, I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment, but I think that's what Satoshi is feeling with that word and trying to say.
So I think I agree with most of, like, I kind of understand, I just don't agree with them. When we say like meet our expectations, we're talking about like a level that we're expecting to meet, right? Like an acceptableness. But like I believe like the term expectation itself, like just the definition, I don't think that necessarily implies like what he's implying. I don't know. It's kind of a weird word. Like I think coming off of that, you know, the phrase itself versus just the word. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He's doing shitty high school philosophizing. That doesn't really hold up under scrutiny.
Yeah. So I mean, sure, he can think that, but I don't think he should get that worked up over a word.
And, you know, he's being like very melodramatic and maudlin. He at this point, he's already been defeated by Oreki again.
That's true.
When he set out to rise above him for once, and he lost. And it's especially bad for him because we'll get to in a bit, when he overhears him talking to Tanabe, he's like, Oreki says, I figured it out really easy. And Satoshi was trying his hardest and could not get it. And to hear Oreki say like, nah, that was fucking cake, bro, just makes him feel so inferior and like he can never be as good as Oreki is, which will tie that back in with Mayaka, because she's very much going through the same thing.
Gotcha. You want to go ahead and tackle his shit real quick?
Satoshi?
Yeah, Satoshi's.
Yeah. Did you have more to say on it right now?
I think so. Like in terms of, I enjoy that we get to watch his arc, and I don't mind it. Well, I don't mind watching it again, and I say again because I've already seen this before a lot. You know, the jealousy kind of type. But I wish that he wouldn't have mentioned earlier. I wish they wouldn't have talked about how Satoshi knows that Oreki's already special and that he's already elevated and he's already like this person that is just special, you know, like they literally describe, and he already describes himself as just completely average. And then like he strives again to be that, and he's disappointed when he can't reach it. Like, I don't know why you would put yourself through that. Like, what would you expect out of that?
Well, I think Mayaka's stuff makes it a little more clear when you parallel that it's not only that, it's the fact that like Satoshi really loves the stuff that Oreki is capable of. Like he wishes he could be that, not because Oreki's smart, but because Satoshi loves mysteries. He loves that deductive reasoning. He loves gathering information and putting it together to figure out new things. And he works so hard at it, while Oreki is just naturally good at it, but doesn't really care. He just kind of does it because it's there. And because other people force him into it.
I don't agree with the don't really care.
Well, it's not a passion for Oreki. It's barely an interest for him, as is evidenced by the fact that multiple times. He says like, oh, I just lucked into it, right?
But we all know that that's bullshit.
No, it is, but that's how he sees it.
This dude is pretty smart. I don't think he just sees it like that.
He does. That's with his tea house conversation with Irisu, and she calls him special. Like, that's the first time that he truly saw the value of his own talents, potentially.
Sorry, I don't think Satoshi thinks that.
Well,
yeah.
No, I think Satoshi totally is jealous of the fact that he's naturally gifted in this way, but to him is wasting it. This is going to tie in with Tanabe as well. But if he was using it more actively, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad, because it's like, I think, does Tanabe have a line, or am I making that up?
Tanabe did talk a lot about like he just wishes he would continue because who knows what could happen if he did.
Yeah, there's the implication that like by not acting on your gift, you're denying everyone of it. Like, you have something to offer and you're withholding it, basically. And I think that's where part of where that jealousy stems from. It's not just inferiority. It's the lack of interest in using that talent. But we can we can keep Satoshi in mind, and if we want to keep talking about him, we can as we truck a little forward.
That's fair.
We get the scene of Satoshi eavesdropping on Oreki, and Oreki calls out Tanabe, and how the whole thing was a code to someone. And Oreki has his confronting the culprit scene as he gives him a big, long explanation. And Tanabe tells him that he exceeded his expectations. There's that word again. Oreki basically blackmails Tanabe, saying that he wants the executive committee to buy 30 copies of Hyouka and then resell them on the website for mail order.
I think blackmail is a dumb term to start here.
Yeah, not necessarily blackmail, but he's like, yeah, I know your shit. But he also then is like, but I can do something for you, and offers up himself and Satoshi to be accomplices, which Satoshi is shot in a way here and has a look that is kind of hard to read, I think, but I almost feel like it's positive when Oreki says that, and I'll bring in Satoshi too. He'll do it if I ask him. Satoshi feel or looks almost like happy in a way that like Oreki is placing this trust in him rather than feeling manipulated and used by Oreki.
This is where I think the point that we differed a little bit earlier comes back up, because when I saw him happy, I was like, this is Satoshi seeing like, yeah, he's really this good. Yeah. Like, not only did he solve the case, but he's also going to like fucking sell the Hyouka, and I get to be part of it too. Like, that's where I thought it was just happiness for that reason. Because I think the way I look at it allows that to be an option.
Mm-hmm. We get a quick outline of Oreki's plan. Satoshi, again, looks a little despondent as we come back, and he admits he was trying his best to, or he was trying to best, or no, Mayaka asks him, like, hey, were you trying to best Oreki? And Satoshi admits, like, yeah, kind of. And it's not fully jealousy. I was just always looking up to him. And Dez is like, I guess databases can't draw conclusions, huh? And in that bit where he says, like, he feels that he's always looking up to people. He starts to say to Mayaka, like, yeah, but, you wouldn't know what that's like. They share an off-screen look, which is pretty obviously implied to be Mayaka being like, nah, man, I know exactly what that's like. And I think Satoshi realizes it too as he's saying it. And there's just this good moment of understanding between the two that even though Satoshi looks up to Mayaka in the way that, like, he mentions earlier that if she wanted to pass him up in knowledge in a subject, she totally could easily. So he sees her as someone above him still, and as a result thinks that she doesn't have that problem of looking up to people, but she totally does.
Also, Mayaka called him Fuku.
Fuku-chan, she always does.
I think this is the one where I was watching English, so it was just Fuku.
Oh.
Just abbreviated cutesy name.
And actually, kind of on that note, I kept forgetting to bring it up, even though I thought of it like 4 times. through this whole thing, there's, Tani coming up and trying to compete with Satoshi, and Satoshi just keeps blowing him off because he's like, in a weird way, he's not interested in his strengths. He's not interested in who he's better than or what he's good at. He's too focused on his weaknesses and what he's bad at and who's better than him to really recognize his own strengths.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I want to say, if I remember correctly, that stuff is going to come to more of a direct head in the next set, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, that point seems very reasonable to me because he's very much whether he meant it or not, he was just there's bigger fish to fry over here. Mm-hmm. But I mean, honestly though, neither of them fucking did anything. What the fuck?
Well, yeah.
Two losers in a pod. You still lost.
Yeah. We get to the closing ceremony. And so the whole thing, by the way, I guess I skipped over. It was Tanabe was trying to send a clue to Kugiyama, the club president, because he wrote the manga A Corpse by Evening that was illustrated by Anjo, who transferred out, and some background work was done by Tanabe. Their next plan was for the Kurdiavka sequence, which was written by Anjo. She wrote it already. And the manuscript was given to Kugiyama. And Tanabe is super pumped about it, super passionate about drawing and manga and stuff. And Kugiyama, as far as Tanabe believes, Kugiyama never even read it, never even opened it. So he put this thing out about the trying to follow the Kurdiavka sequence as a test to him, both as a message you fucker, you suck, you took this from us, but also as a way to maybe see if he did read it. And in his mind, hopefully inspire him to once again draw a manga, because he's this amazing savant that Tanabe feels like he can never reach, and that without him, they'll never be able to bring this great story that Anjo wrote to life.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, this is Oreki describing all of this at a fucking G.
Yeah. And yeah, that all ties into stuff we've been talking about with Tanabe and jealousy and expectations and all that.
This was crazy good, honestly, him just explaining everything.
In the closing ceremony, Kugiyama looks back, as they talk about the Phantom Thief thing, they make reference to that, and Kugiyama looks back to Tanabe and gives him a thumbs up and goes nice work. So meaning he did get it. He got that Tanabe was behind it, and he got the message to an extent, but we don't really get to know to what extent. If it just means that he understood it, or he knew that Tanabe was behind it, or if there's something more there, we don't know.
That's so awesome and highly infuriating at the same time.
Yeah.
Now we get to my second favorite part.
Mayaka talking about the manga to Kochi?
Yes!
Yeah, okay. So Mayaka brings Corpse by Evening to Kochi, and they have a brief revisit of the argument of taste versus value, and how, subjectivity and things, whatever, don't mean anything. Which, in a way, Kochi's not wrong. But I guess, do you guys have any thoughts on that whole argument?
What's the argument?
The argument of Mayaka insisting that masterpieces are a thing that can exist, almost an objective quality to creative works, where Kochi is saying that nothing matters. It's all completely random. You can do whatever you want, and everything is the same.
I mean, they're both true.
Right.
They're not. Both of them are not wrong.
Any thoughts on maybe why Mayaka is so passionate about her viewpoint?
Just because he likes Corpse by Evening so much that he has to believe the fact that it's a masterpiece.
I don't even see how you argue the other side of this.
What other side?
The side, the Kochi side.
Well, she's not wrong.
No,
necessarily.
Because if you think of it like this, fucking Rosebud is a fucking masterpiece to a bunch of filmmakers.
Citizen Kane.
Whoever the fucking thing is called.
Not because of the story that much.
Yeah, but if we watch it right now, we would not understand why it's such a great masterpiece.
No, but if you watch like 3 movies at the same time and then watch that, you'd be like, oh fuck, yeah, that was way better.
Yeah, but you're still getting to my point. It's like it is really to the person that like watches it or stuff like that. There are sometimes when a masterpiece is all like that, but like it's one of those things. It's like it's really dependent on the person. And if she looks at,
I think if some, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, you go on.
Well, I was gonna say, I think there's a point that subjectivity is probably correct, and like, watching like any USA show, just gonna throw it out there. You're just watching those for like entertainment value. They're probably all the same kind of old shit, Don't get me wrong, I watched fucking most of Suits, all of Burn Notice, all these shows that are just they're fine.
But you don't classify those as masterpiece. I'm talking about Citizen Kane. That's what
exactly.
Like, I'm talking about like it is supposed to be a masterpiece, right? Like it is one of the masterpiece of films, or whatever it is. But it's like
yes.
But you can totally go in there and watch it and see that it's not a masterpiece.
So I haven't seen Citizen Kane because honestly I think it would fucking bore me to death. But
it would.
I have an example of one I have seen. I think Casablanca is fine.
I've never seen it.
Like I think it's an okay movie.
Okay, well here's my question then.
Yeah.
I think this what is your favorite movie of all time?
Memento.
You think it's a masterpiece?
What is a masterpiece?
Or I guess would you consider it if someone would say like in this kind of type of argument, like basically it's your favorite for a reason, right?
Sure.
All right, and so you consider it a masterpiece.
You know what? Sure. I'll go to bat for Memento as a masterpiece. Why not?
Yeah, so I mean, like you obviously have that feeling that it's a masterpiece. Do you think other people think that?
I'm sure there are probably some.
So there are objective qualities to this movie.
Okay. Sure.
So then
maybe
I don't. Then at that point, like if something is like, if a bunch of people got together and say there are objective qualities to make this a masterpiece, then I don't see how subjectiveness really goes into that.
Oh, okay. So that's another thing that I think is worth exploring, and that's a whole other tangent of technical aspects of something elevating quality, which to the average person, they don't give a fuck.
No, that's what I was saying. Like the USA shit is very subjective, and I understand there's a baseline of subjectivity in all like fucking media, but like when there's something that's so fucking good that everyone almost has to exclusively agree that that's a good film, except for the two like contrarians out there, or whatever. I think that there's a masterpiece involved, and I think that
Citizen Kane is a masterpiece because a bunch of stuffy film majors in a room said so. Because we're supposed to appreciate the way it changed cinematography, which I won't take that away from it. That's fine. But if I'm someone who doesn't care about that stuff, that literally means nothing. And then you have to look at if the thing stands on its own as a piece of entertainment, which is ultimately what this stuff is.
I guess.
So should a masterpiece not first excel at being entertainment?
The issue here, I think, is definition of masterpiece.
Because it's almost like the definition of masterpiece is subjective. So
that is, I don't think the definition of a masterpiece is subjective. I think the definition of a masterpiece has to use subjective.
What are you talking about? It's all subjective. What?
So listen. So if we fucking take The Dark Knight and compare it to fucking Citizen Kane, right? Everyone in this podcast, I'm assuming, will agree that Dark Knight's a better movie.
Haven't seen Citizen Kane, but probably.
Also, haven't seen Citizen Kane either.
Insert fucking Casablanca versus The Dark Knight. Insert like anything, anything different. Like fucking just look at Alien versus like Prometheus, right? Anything. It doesn't matter. Like, anything made 30 years later is going to be better. So like in that regard, there has to be some type of subjectivity because you can't compare. Like,
you can compare all you want, dude. Like
you cannot compare Agatha Christie to fucking Shakespeare and get a valid argument out of that, right?
Well, it depends what you're trying to compare, right? I mean, you literally asked me what my favorite movie was, and that's an impossible question to answer if you're not allowed to compare different things.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's still subjective. All of it is.
Yeah, I guess the issue I have, I guess masterpiece to me is there's a thing of subjectivity in the fact that it's like you have to compare like your masterpiece is, based off of the other works around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that regards, everything is going to be subjective, but if you then apply subjectivity on the outside of that, like I think that's where we're wrong.
Sure. Regardless, to get us back on track here, because this is all irrelevant, why do we think Mayaka is taking that such hard stance against Kochi?
Because he really feels the fact that the corpse by evening is a masterpiece. Makes her feel something. So she's willing to die on that hill for it.
Oh, I have no idea. She hasn't given me any reason. I mean,
Also, I'm just saying, this is a fucking student-made manga. I don't know what the fuck she's reading, but apparently she's not reading any good shit.
I was just thinking she's just more like on my side, where like there's obviously going to be a masterpiece.
No, she clearly thinks Corpse by Evening is a masterpiece. Because the one manga that she pulls out, which is weird because he has a bunch of manga inside of her room. But like I said, this manga probably speaks to her differently from anybody else. Because I don't think Oreki's like, yeah, this is good. I don't think he's like masterpiece worthy.
See, I would argue anything that makes him say good is a masterpiece.
So regardless of the actual quality of Corpse by Evening, right, in the grander scheme of things, to Mayaka, she views it in very high regard. And some of it might be because she knows it was made by someone who is like a year or two her senior. And on that point, I think the reason she feels so strongly about the ability for masterpieces to truly exist and pushes so hard against Kochi's nothing matters viewpoint is, if you remember back to, she looks at Body Talk and is like, that's good, but not as good as Corpse by Evening. And then looks at her own work and is like, oh God, I am so bad compared to these. Mayaka is not one of the talented people in this series, but she's not like Satoshi where she mostly just like accepts that defeat. She consistently works to try and elevate herself. And if she were to believe that she's wrong about her viewpoints on masterpieces, then all of her work, all of her passion would be for nothing. She could never achieve something like Corpse by Evening. Does that make sense?
Kinda. I was kind of thinking more like, wouldn't that, like, if she doesn't believe in masterpiece, if she took the other side, then wouldn't that mean like her shit has an actual chance to surface? If all manga is just subjectivity, you know, you should just go ahead and release it anyway.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then why does any of it matter? Where she's not taking that viewpoint of it doesn't matter. She feels real passion and connection to this stuff. So of course she's going to look at it through that eye.
I don't know, maybe, man. This I'm losing it because then why is the other girl in the fucking manga club if she argues this point? Like, if she doesn't believe that anything has passion.
Okay, yeah, let's get into Kochi. Let's move on a little. First, she drops the she's joking part, right? She never means anything that she's saying.
Yeah.
And she's like, and she talks about, yeah, I know Corpse by Evening. I gave up reading it partway through.
Mm-hmm.
And it would because she was friends with Anjo, and she went and made that manga on a lark with her buddy who also did the same thing. They were like, I don't know, it could be fun to make a manga. Let's see what happens. And then they came out with this fucking mind-blowing thing. She basically straight up says that she's super jealous of that natural talent, so much so that she stopped talking to Anjo about it. And is like, what would I... Sure, I could read the whole thing, and then what? I call her up and be like, wow, that was so great. When's the next one?
I'm just saying, Ghost Jelly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think someone needs to tell her that she just needs to, like, apologize.
Yeah, and exactly. That's why she's like she's representative of the opposite of Mayaka. It's not that she doesn't believe necessarily that quality exists. It's that she's using it as a defense because she saw these people who just did it once and moved on and blew her out of the fucking water. Someone who theoretically is trying really hard and is really passionate about the subject. And instead of being like Mayaka, where she's holding on to that hope and pressing forward that someday she can accomplish something like that, or she's just trying to hide behind, well, it doesn't fucking matter because anyone can just crap out anything and it can be a masterpiece.
Yeah, I honestly, I love her fucking thing because I feel like in her like 4 or 5 scenes she's had, there's more arc in that character development here with Kochi than I've seen in like entire series before. But I think like this is why I'm so like dead set on this masterpiece thing because like she's hiding behind it, so clearly she doesn't believe what she's saying, right?
Clearly she what? Sorry.
Like she doesn't. truly she doesn't believe in subjectivity because like she's literally in turmoil right now because
No, she's just making the point across to Mayaka. She doesn't believe it whatsoever, Anthony.
I highly disagree.
No, I don't think she truly believes it either. I don't think she's making the point to Mayaka like Irisu maybe was with
we might be in the
Chitanda.
same place. Yeah.
No, yeah, come on. I mean, she's jelly. Like, of course
Yeah,
she
she's jealous
believes
that
in.
someone has made a masterpiece, right?
Yeah, and that she, in her mind, she can't. She like it was so good that she had to stop reading it because of how inferior it made her feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
And it tie it back to like Irisu's story with Oreki about the bench warmer and the natural talent, right?
Yeah, sure. You know, I'm just talking about like in terms of like her saying like subjectivity versus masterpiece stuff. Like I just don't think she has an argument to stand on now after, you know.
No, she totally doesn't.
No, dude, what we're trying to tell you, dude, is she doesn't believe in it, Anthony. She's just doing this to have an argument with Mayaka.
Well, 15 minutes ago when I said masterpiece, both of you were like, no, subjectivity.
Well,
Like,
that
come on, what do you
was
mean?
about our viewpoints on masterpieces versus subjectivity. But she and like
And I'm on Maya and Kochi's side that there are masterpieces.
sure, fine. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I think it's a very muddy area that would take way too long to talk about, honestly. But the thing for Kochi, like we're saying, is that she's just hiding behind it. That thought.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't think she's capable of making something that good.
Yeah, I wasn't understanding you guys when you were like, yeah, she's doing this. I was like, no, she's on my side. Because earlier I understand what you guys are saying now.
Which, to quickly tie in Mayaka's thing as to what I was talking about how people deal with their weaknesses and shortcomings and stuff, Mayaka, as we touched on, is, you know, generally very independent, cries and moves on, right? And that's kind of what she does here. Like, she just pushes forward. She looks at her manga and is like, man, this sucks compared to the stuff I think is good. But maybe someday I'll be able to make something as good as them. Which, man, Mayaka rules. Mm-hmm. But Kochi leaves. Mayaka walks to where Kochi was and sees the cat sketch on the railing that is from Body Talk and starts to cry. Because she realizes not only does she just fully understand Kochi in that moment, but just the night before, she was looking at Kochi's thing and thinking, this isn't a good enough substitute for Corpse by Evening to show her a masterpiece.
Yep.
Which is, ooh, that's brutal. Yeah, there's a little bit of talk about how Kugiyama hasn't drawn since Corpse by Evening. Tanabe, also that jealousy shit. And how Kugiyama probably never even read the manuscript. We cut to the club room where the group buys the last 4 copies of Hyouka, and they have sold out of all 200 copies.
Yay.
Where's Oreki, like, bought, like, 4 or 5 copies, right?
Yeah.
I think throughout the 3 day where he bought like 1 like at the very beginning.
Yeah, I think they all bought 1 at the beginning, and then they're like, we should buy some for our parents too, or whatever. And then he's like, I don't know, I'll buy a couple more. They have a quick talk about the Jumonji caper, but decide to have a celebration. They'll talk all about it because Satoshi and Oreki do not want to divulge the shit because they know that Mayaka and Chitanda will be very mad at them.
And now they can use all of their brain power together to solve this new mystery.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they plan to have a celebration, and that is where we leave episode 17. Anything else on this set of episodes? Character arcs?
I got a new favorite character, and I felt it coming last fucking...
Oh?
Mayaka.
Oh, I thought we're already on the Mayaka train.
I think I may have said it last time, but I was definitely, if I didn't, I was definitely fucking feeling it. Like, this is gonna be, yep.
Yeah, I think Mayaka is so incredibly well done, and is like such a great foil to everyone else in the way that she's like, in a weird way, the most mature of the group easily. All right, I guess if there is nothing else, next week, wrapping up Hyouka, final 5 episodes. After that, Anthony will be doing his next choice. If you'd like to get in contact with us in any way, listen after the music, where you'll get our Twitters and our emails and anything else maybe we have to plug there. And that is it. See you next time on My First Anime. Hey, thanks as always for listening. We decided to smash through fate and forge our own futures by launching a Patreon. You can check that out over on patreon.com/myfirstanime, where hopefully by this point we figured out some cool shit to do. Or if you would just like to leave us a review and rating on wherever you get your podcasts, that helps as well.
And also, I am winging this, also has wings, Twitter. So at us, at My First Anime, and other shenanigans, talk about how awesome I am. That's Salvador, awesome monkey. Just leave comments about me is what I'm asking for. I'm also plugging, I guess, my stream on twitch.tv.
And you can check out pictures of my cat on Instagram and Twitter under the handle of Sir Paperplate.
See you next time on My First Anime.
Did it in one.
Perfect.